No, welcome in. It is another day here at the BTT Studios brand. Another day for coaching company. Another day with Coach traveling. So I, Mike Pendleton, am sitting in as your host today. And what a weekend it was. And if you step outside, you look around, it probably smells like summer. It's the first day of June, so obviously that means my heart is full. We are getting one step closer to the NBA Finals, one step closer to the NFL season, and we're going to talk about all things NBA Finals today. What a remarkable game between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. I think we have our new top elite star, LeBron James. You can move over. There's appointment viewing in the NBA, and his name is simply Wemby. So we'll talk about that coming up here at the BTT Studios. If you're watching on our YouTube page, we will have a Coach and Bro episode later today, as well as the last word with Big Tommy C and Gabby Laspiza reacting to all things with Monday Night Raw this afternoon being in Italy. We'll go live shortly after Coach and Bro with the last word. It's a busy, busy day, a busy, busy week here, and I cannot do this show by myself because simply you guys wouldn't want to hear me talk for an hour straight by myself. So let's bring in the guys today. We've got our numbers guy Rafael Esparza here. We've got Brandon. I'll start with him, the BetMGM executive producer, BetMGM tonight. Brandon, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, boys. How are we doing? Mikey moves back to Chicago. The Bears moved to Indiana. I don't know what the hell's going on. We made a great trade, though, I think. I'd rather have Mikey.
You know what? If I can mute you I'd rather not talk about that. I'm in an extreme state of denial. I do not want to talk about that, and because I don't want to talk about it, the man to your left will absolutely love to talk about it. Just to dig the knife just a little deeper. Rafael Esparza, good morning. How are you, sir?
You don't like the Hammond Bears? That has a great ring to it. I can't wait to have the big H Bear hat. I will wear that lid all day long, but it's going to happen. We will have the Indiana Bears.
Okay, well, apparently I'm going to have to call up on a Danhausen or something. I've got to do some. Listen, if a Knicks fan can pay Danhausen to curse every team and the Knicks end up in the NBA Finals, maybe I got to come up with some human monies and have like the state of Indiana cursed, and then, I don't know, water pipe burst. You can't do it. But we'll talk about that stadium situation coming up in about 15 minutes. Guys, let's get into what I truly believe was one of the best basketball games we've seen in a very long time. Brandon, just starting with you here, talk to me about your initial reaction, the game itself, the Spurs knocking off the Thunder on Saturday night, clinching their spot in the NBA Finals. What did you make of the game overall?
Yeah, I thought it was one of the best Game 7s we've seen in a long time. And the numbers prove that it was one of the best Game 7s in a long time. I mean, people were locked into this thing like crazy. This entire series averaged over 9 million viewers. People wanted to see Wemby. People wanted to see the Spurs versus OKC. And they wanted to see how this thing was going to play out. And it played out exactly how I thought it would play out, with the Spurs coming out on top and the Spurs on their way to the NBA Finals. I think that it was a fantastic game. I think Wemby, throughout the course of these playoffs, has shown that he is now the face of the NBA, and it's without question. And the Spurs are here to stay. This is going to be a fun rivalry for a long time, guys. This is Bulls Pacers of the 90s. This is Bulls Pistons of the late 80s, early 90s. You're starting to get this again, and it's going to be fun to watch. So enjoy it for the next 5+ years.
Yeah, absolutely. And Raph, I'll come over to you next. When you talk about this Spurs and Thunder rivalry, you got to ask the question, right? Because you looked at what everything on paper that the Thunder came into the season with. SGA, they have 94 first round picks over the next like 5 years, it feels like. You know, they had Chet Holmgren, they had Jalen Williams, but two of those three guys did not show up when needed the most. Do you think we saw a changing of the guard at the top of the Western Conference on Saturday night?
No, because we have to look at health. I think health was the big reason why San Antonio won this one. The OKC was missing not one, but two key guys. And when you're missing two key guys, that messes up your starting lineup and that messes up your bench. So I would have loved to see game 7 when both teams fully healthy, because I think we'd have seen a better game. Even though this game was fantastic, but I think we would have seen a better game if everybody was healthy. But congratulations, Spurs. Wemby, welcome to the face of the NBA.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys, but there are times where you remember the games and then you just remember moments. And for me, I don't know that I'm ever anytime soon going to forget the emotion we saw out of Wemby. This is a guy that he didn't even win the NBA finals yet. That's how much it means to him. And this isn't rant Wednesday, right? But I would love to see that in 2026. I would love for more players to act like they give a damn in 2026. I don't care if it's the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. Brandon, when you look at a guy who he's an international superstar in Wemby, he comes over, he adapts to being, in a smaller, state in the sense of what the Spurs are as a franchise, not the state of Texas. That is not a small state. But he's not at MSG. He's not in Boston or Chicago. He's in a smaller market, yet he's now the face of the league. What did you make of his reaction to making it to the finals?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic, right? Like you look at a lot of the really good European players now, and the emotion, we've talked about it before. The emotion just isn't there with a lot of them. When you talk about Jokic, and I don't want to go to the parade. I just want to go home to my cows and my sheep. You look at Luka Doncic, who a lot of times looks like he'd rather be elsewhere than on the court. It was good to see Wemby, really represent the European players and what it means to get to the NBA Finals and what it means for him. It was a long road. I thought he was the MVP of the league. I really did. And then he gets passed over for the MVP, and then he goes up against the MVP, and he leads his team to victory over them in a couple of games where SGA just didn't have it in this series. And I don't think that injury played a role in this whatsoever. I think that the Spurs were the better team all year long. They handled them all year long, even when Oklahoma City was healthy. This is just the better basketball team, and I've been saying that since November.
You absolutely have been saying it. And Raphael, I'm going to do something that you enjoy a lot. I'm going to eat crow here because I remember when the season started, I came on this brand and said, "Yeah, I like Wemby. He's good, but I'm not ready to put him as the net." I mean, yeah, what a idiot do I look like, right? So when you look at what Wemby has done and the emotion you saw on Saturday, I asked you the same question. Is this the guy that you would now feel comfortable with being like, yeah, he's the face of the league with his passion, his style of play, and his emotion he brought on Saturday night?
I just love that he loves to play basketball. He doesn't want to be out there. He doesn't want to rest. Oh, I played back-to-back games and I can't play the second one. No, he wants to be out there game after game. He enjoys playing basketball. His emotion shows that he enjoys playing basketball. I think that's why he's going to be the face of the league. And why not? He's an alien. This guy does everything. I saw him jump on the floor to try to save a bounce, and he looked huge just laying on the ground. I'm like, who's going to pick this alien up laying on the ground trying to save a ball? It's unbelievable. I love watching Wemby play.
Yeah, I wonder what that bed is like. Like, what does I know? We know he has silk sheets, right? Like, we get that, we understand all that. But what kind of bed does that guy sleep in? That's a little. You know what? I'm sorry. Maybe we shouldn't talk about what bed Wemby is sleeping in. Let's talk about the bed that was made by the Oklahoma City Thunder, and now they have to sleep in it. They've really committed. They went all in with Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren as the surrounding top support cast for the MVP. Guys, I'm going to just say it, and Brandon, I'll start with you. I don't think those two guys, I understand Jalen Williams wasn't healthy. I don't think those two guys are good enough to make the Thunder a real dynasty.
Yeah, look, when it comes to those guys, Jalen Williams, I'll give him, he was injured. So I'm going to give him that. But when you talk about Chet Holmgren, man, Chet Holmgren just disappeared in game 7. He did his best James Harden impression in game 7. And so for me, and personally, I thought this heading into the playoffs. I thought this all season long. I thought Chet Holmgren was a bit overrated. And I don't think he's quite the player that everybody likes to talk about Chet Holmgren being. And he really showed it, I think, in these conference finals, because he wasn't, not only was he not relevant in game 7, he was really a non-factor this entire series against Wemby.
Yeah, Raphael, just 4 points in game 7 for Chet Holmgren. When you look at the future, do you think Oklahoma City would be better off putting together a few of those draft picks and seeing who they could dangle Chet with to try and get a bigger superstar, someone who might fit that team better?
I think there's only one superstar that would fit that, and I don't think the Greek Freak wants to go to OKC to play. I think there's other places he'd rather go. But I'm not going to put it all on Chet. Yes, Chet got owned by Wemby, but Wemby has owned him all through their careers, even in under 17 ball. Wemby owned him. I got to put a lot of point to Lou Dort. Where was he at in this series? He shot 19% from 3-point land, 5 for 19 the whole series. I'm going to put a lot of blame on him because he was MIA as well.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where, the Thunder were so good all of last season. They win the title. They start off on a roll this season. And Brandon, you just looked and you're like, where did it go wrong? And,
Yeah.
and I know the easy answer is, injuries, but in your mind, from a basketball perspective, where did it go wrong for the Thunder?
They ran into a better team. I mean, that's just the base. Like people want to talk all, oh, what happened to OKC? Oh, what happened to SGA? What happened to maybe the Spurs just did a good job of defending the Thunder. Maybe the Spurs did a good job of taking away OKC's strengths. Maybe the Spurs are just the better basketball team. I don't understand why people sometimes can't fathom that. Just because one team's good doesn't mean that another team can't find a way to beat them and have the recipe to beating them. There's a lot of times where we see superstars in this league and in other leagues that just have down years or just don't have enough around them to be the same team that they were the previous seasons. I think that with the Oklahoma City Thunder, I've thought about that with the Kansas City Chiefs over the last couple of years, and people have a hard time believing that when teams are good and they have one player that's just a mega star that they can't lose. It's not like that in today's NBA, and I think the only thing that happened to OKC was they ran into a better team.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think it became obvious, right, when Alex Caruso is your second leading scorer or leading your team in scoring. No disrespect to Alex Caruso, but when you have SGA, Chet, and Jalen Williams, when we see dynasties, when you talk about the Golden State Warriors or the Miami Heat or even the 90s Bulls, we're all Chicagoans here, right? All three of the top three players showed up each and every single game. With Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren, it was where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? It just where's Waldo, right? It's just, and I think if I'm SGA, and we'll talk about some of the thoughts he had on his teammates here in about 30 minutes. But if I'm SGA, I might actually go, hey man, we got to make some changes. So Raphael, I'll come over to you. Do you think SGA will meet with Sam Presti? He did say he thinks Sam Presti is the best GM in the world. I would right now beg to differ. Having a lot of draft picks is nice. Using them correctly is nicer.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna make drastic changes. I still believe health was a big deal in this Western Conference Finals. But not only did they run into a better team, they ran into the best player in the NBA. And I'm going to throw out Michael Jordan. Do you think Brad Sellers and Horace Grant and all them were good basketball players? No. Michael Jordan made them good players. What does Wemby do? Makes everyone around him a better player. They just ran into a better player and a better team.
And on that note, you bring up the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan. How about this? Wemby reaching the NBA Finals in his third season. That is faster than Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron. Listen, I think we a few things were found out on Saturday night. The Spurs franchise and aura is back. Wemby is the face of the league. And I truly do feel like we are going to have the best rivalry in the NBA between these two teams. Brandon, got about 30 seconds for you. When you look at some of the best rivalries we have in the NBA, where do the Thunder and Spurs rank for you?
I think it's got to be number one now, right? Because you got SGA, who is a supreme talent in this league. I think he's one of the best players in this league. And Oklahoma City has the talent to build around him. They do need a couple of more pieces. I think they have to realize that taking away Wemby is not an option when you're on the Spurs. You can't take away a guy who guards like Shaq and has the range of Steph. Like you just can't do it. You got a 7'5" guy crossing people over and taking step back threes. Like you've just got to find a way to defend everybody else and not let them beat you.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Gentlemen, well done. On the other side, when we come back, we are going to talk about what's coming next. And that's between the San Antonio Spurs and the New York Knicks. Thunder are no more. We're just getting started here on Coaching Company. I am Mike Pendleton. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on Stadium every single day, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, you can catch us out right here. What do we have to look forward to next? We'll talk about it on the other side, right here on Coaching Company. All right, gentlemen. Well, usually it's, the 1st of June. It's a Monday morning. they make a song that it's the first of the month. You're supposed to wake up and have a good day. I didn't, because I wake up and more news comes out about the state of Illinois not getting a deal, and lawmakers and all this political stuff that I'm just not gonna invest my emotion into. Essentially, Illinois does not get the Bears stadium situation resolved, and more sounds like they could be headed to Indiana. Brandon, what are we doing?
Hey, look, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Hammond, Indiana is a closer drive for me than it is for me to drive to work downtown. It's a 10-minute drive for me to drive to Hammond, Indiana here on the south side of Chicago than to drive to downtown Chicago. So I don't mind the move to Hammond, Indiana. I'm interested to see if they're going to change the name of the Bears. Are they still going to be the Chicago Bears? All of that other interesting stuff. But I think the move to Hammond is warranted. I think it's a good move. I think it's a smart business move for the Chicago Bears. And to be honest with you, I think the lawmakers in this town, there's a reason why they call it the Windy City, and it ain't because of the lake. They're pushing the Bears to Indiana. This is on Illinois.
Raphael, your thoughts on this situation? And I just don't understand, like, why does this happen to a franchise like the Bears? They've been around for, so long, and they can't figure out what seems to be like it shouldn't be that hard.
I think once this is finalized, we're not going to care about it anymore. San Francisco doesn't play in San Francisco. The Giants don't play in New York. Other teams have done this. I think this is just all smoke and mirrors right now, just for us to talk. But I think Indiana is a place to be. I mean, the Jackson 5 sang that song, coming back to Indiana. I guess that's where the Bears are going.
I can't believe you. I can't believe not only a Jackson 5 reference, but both of you knuckleheads, by the way, think it's okay. You guys know 80% of my wardrobe has Chicago Bears on it?
Mine
I
too.
mean, listen,
I
I'm
think
not
they
gonna.
keep the name. I think they keep the name.
I do
I
too.
think they do.
They better, because I'm not, these medium-sized T-shirts are hard to find. So, guys, on the other side, we are going to come back and talk all things 2026 NBA Finals. It's the Knicks and the Spurs. This is Coaching Company. Welcome back right here on Stadium and our YouTube channel. This is Coaching Company. I am Mike Pendleton, sitting in for the coach. And gentlemen, we are wasting no time with our not only our rebrand, but our new segment here called Bring It. And that's exactly what I want you guys to do in this second segment when we talk about what we have to look forward to. It is the New York Knicks. It is the San Antonio Spurs. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, right? I don't like them, but the NBA, Raphael, has got to be happy that we got this NBA Finals matchup. You got your biggest solo star in Wemby in the world's most famous arena, and both fan bases are desperate for a championship.
Yeah, not only do we have a great NBA Finals, but we're going to be talking a lot about NBA trade rumors during the NBA Finals. So the NBA is probably just doing this because they're going to take a lot of the NFL media away of OTAs and all that, because we're going to be talking about MSG witnessing an alien at the center of the courts and a lot of big trade rumors, because where's the Greek Freak going?
Brandon, when we look at the actual game, not for nothing, as much as it makes me sick to my stomach to compliment the New York Knicks, this is going to be a high-level matchup. Like, I take nothing away from the Oklahoma City Thunder, but give me this series 100 times before I ever see a Pacers and Thunder NBA Finals rematch ever again. How excited are you for this one?
I'm excited. Look, I still think the Spurs win the NBA title, but the Knicks are not going to be a pushover. This is going to be a 6, maybe even a 7-game series. There have been 20 players in the NBA that have matched up against Wemby 20 times or more in their career. The player that has tallied the least amount of points against in those 100 matchups is OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby knows how to guard Wemby, and he can actually make this a headache for Wemby if he can contain him. Now, Wemby's a different player right now. Wemby is on a mission right now, and I think that he's going to be the guy that gets it there. I believe he's going to win the NBA Finals MVP. I think the Spurs win this, but I think OG Anunoby, if he is healthy and if he can do his thing defensively against Wemby, the Knicks have a chance to pull this thing off in 7.
Well, Brennan, you know me, hot take central over here. So, you know what? I'm going to go against the grain. And while I agree that San Antonio Spurs will win, remember, Celtics fan, right? Jaylen Brown wins the NBA Finals MVP. Didn't think that should have happened. So I'm going to go with Dylan Harper. I don't know why. I know he's coming off the bench. I just feel like he is going to be so key. And we don't even talk about like the like, yes, De'Aaron Fox gets all the credit he deserves. But Raphael, when we look on the other side, there is so much. We talked about it to open today's show. The energy, the emotion, everything we saw out of Wemby. And yet the Knicks have been at home for a few days now. The momentum feels like it's on the side of the Spurs. How do you think the Knicks will respond from their layoff?
Not only did the Knicks have tremendous momentum, easily winning all their games by double digits, they're getting a lot of momentum at the betting window. It's tons of Knicks series prices coming. So if you're like Brandon and myself, who I think the Spurs win this, hold off because you're going to get a better number because so much money is coming in on the Knicks series price. I just think not only Wemby has a good series, I think the players around him, Harper, I think he's going to have a big series. I think the New York Knicks bench might be not as played as well as they did in the Eastern Conference, because now we're talking about totally different conferences. Eastern Conference and Western Conference is totally different. I think the size would be too much for the Knicks to handle. And if they put their big men up front to throw assists, I think that just plays in the Spurs' hand. I think they need all their big men down below.
Yeah, and let's not forget, Brandon, that Mitchell Robinson suffered a fractured pinky finger. The layoff is going to help him. But when you were as hot shooting as the New York Knicks were, in these last two series, I got to imagine, just as a basketball fan, you've got a lot of questions about can that carry over going into Game 1 this week.
Yeah, not only can it carry over, but how much does the 9-day layoff affect the Knicks? Like, how much does that really slow them down? Look, when you have a team, and I've said this before with other series, when you have a team that is coming off of a 7-game series and they've just played 2 days ago, and you've been sitting for 9 days, they're going to be the hotter shooting team. They're going to be the team that's more ready. You might be the team with fresher legs, and that might help you if it goes to overtime, double overtime, something like that. But unless you can continue to shoot at a historic pace, which is kind of crazy to say, 9 days after the last shot of basketball, I know they have practice and all that stuff, but in a game scenario, I mean, that's asking a lot. I think that the Spurs come out swinging. I think that the Spurs, obviously, they're going to have home court advantage. The Knicks have to steal either Game 1 or Game 2. I just don't know if they're capable of doing that.
Yeah, that's the big thing for me. I think we're going to find out a lot about this series right from the get-go with Game 1. We're either going to see a highly, highly contested matchup between these two teams with a lot of back and forth. We'll see the Knicks. I think the only way the Knicks can win this series, not just one game, but the entire series, is by their hot shooting. I just simply cannot buy into believing they can keep it going through the NBA Finals. Now, guys, you mentioned, we've talked all morning long about Mr. Victor Wembanyama. And when you look at what Wemby is capable of doing on the court, by the way, we talk about home court advantage, guys. They're bringing back the Larry O'Brien trophy on the court. So I'm just going to give the San Antonio Spurs and the NBA media, you guys can steal this if you'd like. There would be no better photo if the Spurs win at home than seeing, even at the Garden, seeing Wemby on his back, just laid out at half court, and just measuring him side by side with the Larry O'Brien trophy. I want that picture. You guys can take it, but send one to me. You guys can have that idea free of charge. Brandon, you mentioned how can the Knicks or OG Anunoby defending Wembanyama? Who else? Because, yeah, OG's great, but if he's not in the game, I want to see Karl-Anthony Towns step up, and I know that's not necessarily what he can do.
Yeah, but that's also a nightmare matchup for the New York Knicks, I think. I think if you have to go with Cat on Wemby, it's going to be a feast for Wemby. And that's what I don't think that the Knicks want. So that's why I don't think Knicks fans want it. I got my guy Pat Boyle on BetMGM tonight, who's a massive Knicks fan, been a Knicks fan his whole life. He loves the Knicks more than he loves any of his teams. And he is excited for these finals. But the one thing, and the reason why I keep telling him why he keeps going at Wemby so hard, is because he's afraid. He knew that if they got the Spurs, they were in trouble, and now they've got the Spurs. And the reason why is because Cat is a nightmare matchup for them. So they need OG Anunoby to be at full strength. They need OG Anunoby on the court for every minute that Wemby is on the court.
And Raphael, when you look at the Wemby side of things and what the Knicks are going to have to do, we needed to see some 40-20 or 30-15 type of performances from Wemby. I don't know if necessarily, because in Game 7 he didn't have 30 points and 20 rebounds. He had a relatively just highly respectable game. But do you think he's got to have massive performances against the Knicks? Who I would be interested to hear who you think will defend him.
I think OG will, but we're gonna look like back in the day. We're gonna look watching Utah Jazz play. I think the pick and roll is gonna be all over. If OG's guarding Wemby, we're gonna see pick and roll to get Cat on him. I think Castle and Vessel and even Harper are the ones that are gonna have big games. Those three players, they don't shoot a lot of threes. They shoot under the 3-point line. So if they get twos that go in, two sometimes are better than zero because the Spurs are not a good 3-point shooting team like the Knicks. I think the pick and roll is going to be big, getting OG off Wemby and getting Cat on him.
You mentioned the guards for San Antonio and Brandon. I love all three guards. De'Aaron
Yeah.
Fox. You've got Stephon Castle. You've got Dylan Harper. I mean, all three of these guys can play very high level of basketball, but they're going to have to do that not just offensively, but defensively. We asked about who's going to guard Wemby. Well, on the other side, Brandon, who do you like matched up against Jalen Brunson?
De'Aaron Fox. I think De'Aaron Fox versus Jalen Brunson is going to be a huge matchup in this series. I think if Fox can contain him, if Fox can just stop him from getting to 30, if he can do that, then the Spurs are in business, and the Spurs are going to be the team that shuts down this crazy Knicks offense that has just exploded and is winning at an astronomical percentage. I believe they're like in the last 9 games they've won by an average of 11 points or something like that, something crazy. It's a crazy playoff stat, and so. I think that De'Aaron Fox is the matchup, but to be honest with you, you put Stephen Castle on him, you put Vassell on him. I think either way you go, while Fox is getting a breather, I think you're going to be fine. That's where I think the Knicks or the Spurs have a much better front court than the Knicks do. I think they're deeper.
Yeah, Raphael, how key? Who's more important in your mind, Raphael? Is it Jalen Brunson to the New York Knicks and their success, or Wemby and the Spurs? Like, how important is Jalen Brunson for this team to have a fighting chance in the finals?
If you're the Knicks, it's not Brunson. He's going to get his points. And I think the Spurs are going to realize, hey, let's give him his points. It's Bridges. If Bridges goes off, especially on a 3-point perspective, we saw in games, I think games 3 and 4, then the Knicks can steal this series and win a ship. It's all about my Bridges in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we have plenty to talk about over the next coming days. Game 1 will start Wednesday, June 3rd, 8:30 Eastern. Brandon, little fun fact here. Did you know both De'Aaron Fox and Mike Brown were once employed by the Sacramento Kings, who are a dumpster fire, and now they're both representing the East and the Western Conference? I mean, and then you look at Tyrese Halliburton last year, also was a member of the Sacramento Kings. How bad are Kings fans going through it this week, you think?
I mean, they're the Kings. I mean, I think they've been going through it their entire lives. I just, you watch what that organization has done and how bad they. I mean, look, I'm a Bulls fan. I've seen what this organization has done and how bad this organization has been. So I feel for you. I mean, at least we had the '90s. At least we had Derrick Rose. I guess. I just watching the Kings and what they're going through, man. I feel bad for fan bases like that.
Yeah, I don't. Raphael, about 30 seconds here for you. Um, you're a 90s basketball guy. You always mention that, right? And obviously, being a Chicago Bulls guy, I understand that. Take me through the atmosphere you expect inside Madison Square Garden.
Oh, it's going to be like Jordan coming in there, like when he did that turnaround dunk on Patrick Ewing. If Wemby does something like that, it's going to be electric. I think it's all going to be about Wemby, not the Knicks.
Yeah, it's going to be marvelous. Adam Silver's just got to be smiling ear to ear with this NBA Finals matchup. And all we need is one poster dunk, because go back to Saturday night, that poster dunk on Chet Holmgren, I wouldn't have wanted to score any more than 4 points either. I'm out, Scout. Dude, the game just started and you posterized me. Thanks, I guess. But no, it should be a great showdown between the Spurs and the Knicks. Gentlemen, job well done. Coming up next, we have front page news. Is the WNBA's biggest star losing her shine? We'll talk about all that and more, and we'll look at what SGA had to say about one of his teammates right here on Coaching Company. All right, guys, we continue on our YouTube channel. Now, I just teased we're going to talk some WNBA. And boy, do I wish Coach was here for this one because I would love to talk about Becky Hammond, and we will. But before we talk about Becky Hammond, guys, a tip of the cap, and I want you guys to give her her flowers because Angel Reese has become the fastest player in WNBA history to collect 900 rebounds. Brandon, I'm sure you have a very nice take on this one.
Yeah, I mean, 900 rebounds, 898 of them are on missing her own shot. But yeah, 900 rebounds, fastest one to it. I mean, great. I mean, I throw the ball off the backboard to myself 900 times. I'll grab the rebound too. Like I stop. I mean, just stop with Angel Reese. Go back to Instagram.
Raphael, come on. Like this is a mind-blowing stat. You're a numbers guy. How impressed are you by this Angel Reese stat?
I'm impressed with the number, but no one ever remembers rebounds. Now, if she had 1,000 points already or 1,003 pointers, yes, that's impressive. But no one talks about how many rebounds Dennis Rodman ever got.
All right, well then let's move to someone that we will talk about. That's Becky Hammond, second fastest coach to 150 wins in WNBA history. Brandon, quickly, your thoughts on Becky Hammond, and is she where she belongs in the W?
Oh, absolutely. She's a fantastic coach. She's going to go down as an all-timer. When you look at Becky Hammond, the way she draws up the X's and O's, I mean, there's nobody better than her in this game, and it helps that she's got a bunch of stars around her too.
Raphael, your thoughts on Becky Hammond?
She doesn't take shit from anybody. I've been to her practices. I've been to her games when she was coaching the Spurs in the summer league, and she's yelling. And she doesn't care if what the name on the back of your jersey. She cares about what the name says in front, the team that you play for. That's what kind of head coach I would want.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'm very happy for her. I know Asia Wilson had a lot of great things to say, so congratulations to Becky Hammond. But on the other side, guys, we are going to talk about the WNBA's biggest star and something that's really out of character, but is her character still as star-powered as we thought? I'm very, very interested to hear what you guys have to say. We'll be right back here on Coaching Company. Welcome back to Coaching Company right here on Stadium and our YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button. I am Mike Pendleton sitting in for the coach. And today with me, my guys, Raphael and Brandon. And I believe, guys, let's start in the WNBA. This is a story that I feel like could take a few minutes between the three of us. Producer man, if we can, I want to roll this clip of Caitlin Clark over the weekend, biggest star in the WNBA, getting into a shouting match with her coach. And guys, simply put, the performances haven't been there this year. Then you have this, and you have all the back and forth. Brandon, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on Caitlin Clark and if she is losing a little bit of her star power?
I don't think she's losing her star power at all. She's actually averaging more points this year in the first 7 games than she's averaged in her career. The numbers are right around with assists and rebounds, right where they are with her career averages as well. I think she's having the same type of year that she always has. The difference is, I think there's something going on in the locker room. There's clearly something going on with her and her coach. There's clearly something going on with her in the rest of her team. As we watch the clip right here in the middle, I mean, her going back and forth on the coach, and then the coach just kicks her out of the lineup. So, look, there's something there. This doesn't happen with superstars that don't have issues with somebody. This is like what we saw with Luka and JJ Redick earlier in the season. This happens between coaches and stars, but there's something clearly there that the Fever themselves not putting her on their video packages when they're promoting games, doing all. There's something going on with Caitlin Clark. I don't know what it is, but there's something there, and it's not her game because her game, I mean, she averaged 18 points for her career. She's averaging 20 points this season already. She is doing the same thing she's always done, but it's just getting less attention.
Raphael, I know you love, the WNBA and hey, ladies, all that, right? When you look at this, Brandon brings up a lot of good points. Is this time to start hitting the panic button in Indiana? And do you look, if you're in the front office, and go, if you're our head coach and you are not getting along with our star player, somebody's got to go, and it can't be Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think there is some grumblings in the locker room, but yes, she's averaging more points this year than last year. But that doesn't mean anything. You want star power? How about win a ship? They're 4-4 right now. If the playoffs started, they're not even in the playoffs. They've already lost 2 home games. Yes, she's Caitlin Clark. She's probably one of the best players, but I think there's better players in the league right now. I mean, Paige Beckers is playing better than her. We got MVP Wilson that is outstanding. She should be getting all the love. If she wants her star power to be huge star power, then win a championship.
Well, and I agree with that, but
Wow.
I think there was injuries last year. She's just getting started on that note. But Brandon, I will ask you this: what do you think is more likely, the Fever wake up and make a coaching change if Caitlin Clark isn't happy, or do you think Caitlin Clark says, "Guys, I'm out, and I'm not going to stay here for the foreseeable future"? And do you think Caitlin Clark could actually get rewarded by trying to go elsewhere?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know the inner workings of the WNBA front offices. But look, if I am a GM or if I am an owner and I'm looking at this situation, I've got to evaluate it. Look, Caitlin Clark's averaging 28-4. Like she is doing her thing on this team. Look, I don't know if I go to it, if I'm the owner and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get rid of Caitlin Clark. I'm going to find a way. Hey, how do we make this situation better? What is the problem here? I'm going to talk to the players. I'm going to talk to the coaching staff, and I'm going to figure out what the issue is. And then I'm going to make my decision from there. And chances are the coach is getting ousted and somebody else who can work with my superstar, the person who everybody comes to see, they're going to work with her and figure out a way to make this thing coexist.
That's that superstar effect. When you, not, I don't want to say handpick your next coach, but you just want to make sure that the right person and you are on the same page for the sake of the franchise. And guys, I look at the franchise and the season that just ended for the Oklahoma City Thunder and SGA. Now, a back-to-back MVP winner. I understand every team in the league wants to win the championship.
Mm.
But SGA came out after game 7 and said this season was a failure. It feels a little harsh to kind of give that much self-critiquing on that. But Brandon, your thoughts, do you feel like it was truly a failure for them?
I love it. I love the mentality of SGA. If we didn't win a championship, then the season was a failure. It doesn't care if I won. I don't care if I won the MVP. Doesn't matter if I won the MVP because we didn't win the championship. And ultimately that is the goal. That is why we step on the court every single night. That is the mentality that I want out of my superstar, is that if we lose, it doesn't matter my career accolades. It doesn't matter, what I did this year for individual awards. It matters what we did as a team, and what we did as a team was lose in the Western Conference Final, and that wasn't our goal, so that's a failure.
And Raphael, when you look at, I mean, this guy, we just mentioned the back-to-back MVPs. He broke, a long time standing record. He got the Thunder have really changed the identity of their franchise and their future over the last 2 seasons. I believe this is now the 8th consecutive season the NBA will see a new team win the championship. So can it really be considered a failure if you're SGA?
He's 100% correct. And I think that's why the NBA is changing to, oh, no more rest and all that with SGA and Wemby. I think if the roles were reversed, Wemby would be saying the same thing. Our season was a failure. So I love what SGA said. He was 100% correct. Remember in November, we were all talking about, are they going to beat the Golden State Warriors record for the most wins? We were talking about that, and then they went on a couple losing streaks, and that thing faded. So complete failure, and I agree with him.
Well, I know one person who isn't going to be very happy with things that SGA is saying, and that is Chet Holmgren. And, the criticisms are there. I mean, they have to be there because when you play that way and you have 4 points, you get dominated by Wemby in game 7, you get dunked on by Wemby in game 7. You just you don't exist. SGA said after the game, this is the worst version of Chet Holmgren we will ever have. And I understand that. And it sounds weird, but Brandon, if you're Chet Holmgren, how are you, probably taking it on the chin from your teammate here, how are you reacting?
I mean, I'm reacting like I don't have a leg to stand on, and he's correct. Like, I disappeared in game 7. What do I have to say? I mean, you're right. You're right. I didn't show up. You're right. This is a failure. You're right. I did not play to the level that you brought me here to play. And Chet Holmgren owes probably SGA and the rest of his team an apology for the way that he played. So Chet Holmgren can take it any way that he wants, but I mean, if he's got any problem with what SGA said, he has nothing to do but look in a mirror.
Raph, where would you put the stock on Chet Holmgren going into this offseason? Because guys, this is a former top pick, right? A former top 3 pick, and here's a guy who had injuries early in his career, and you always wondered, would his game elevate if he put on more size, or would he adjust to staying at his size in the NBA? And now Wemby's taller. But Wemby doesn't have the physique of a Giannis, and he still just pushed around Chet. So, Rafael, where's your stock meter on Chet Holmgren right now?
If you're Chet, you're hoping Wemby wins the championship and he's the MVP, because you can say, hey, you know what? I lost to the best player in the NBA. If I'm Chet, I'm calling Aaron Judge. I'm calling everyone that fades in the championship. I am calling the bearded one. Say, hey, how do you handle the criticism that you get every time you're in the playoffs or every time you strike out in the playoffs? Because those guys can maybe help his mentality. Because that's all it is. I mean, I'm not going to hit the panic button and trade him. I think he's going to come back. I put some weight on, maybe adjust his jump shot. Maybe he can start shooting more threes so he can push Wemby out when they're playing at that. I think he changes his game, but I'm not trading him right now.
Yeah, Brandon, when you look at the future, I'll ask you what Raphael just said. Are you looking to trade Chet Holmgren this offseason, or do you want to give him an opportunity to come back and prove himself?
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at your situation as a whole. Figure out what you're going to do in the draft, what your plan is moving forward. I think that they keep him, they build around him, they build around him and SGA, and they try to get them some help. They got to get more depth. And I know that people talked about the depth of the Oklahoma City bench, but there was no depth behind Chet Holmgren. There just wasn't. There's depth in the front court. There was depth there, but there was no depth behind Chet Holmgren, and they relied on him for a lot, and he just can't live up to that. You've got to get him some help. So if they do that, then sure. But if I also wouldn't be shocked, and I wouldn't be surprised, and to be honest with you, it'd probably be the right thing to do to move on from Chet.
Raphael, go ahead.
Hartenstein's not going to be there. He's a free agent. So, yeah, the OKC had so much depth at point guard and shooting guard. They had no depth beside Hartenstein in forward and center position. That's what they need to improve.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, guys, really quickly, Brandon, I'll throw this to you. It just feels like for as good as Jalen Williams can be, as good as Chet Holmgren can be, the Thunder don't have a second alpha. And sometimes having more than one isn't great, but I think in today's NBA, you see a lot of teams with more than one alpha. Do you think, or what would be the type of player that you think Oklahoma City needs next to SGA to have that alpha persona, and you're not going to come into our building game 7 and take a victory away from us?
Giannis. I honestly, if OKC is smart, everything is in to go get Giannis Antetokounmpo. And he's leaving Milwaukee. We know that's for sure. You bring Giannis to OKC, and it's a different ball game. And I think it might be a wrap in the West for a little while because, look, as good as I think that the Spurs are and as great as I think Wemby is, that 1-2 combo of SGA and Giannis would be absolutely lethal. It would be something that we'd be watching for the next 5 years thinking, oh, my God, how does anybody stop this basketball team?
And then Wemby shows up. No, it's going to be fascinating what happens with Giannis because, always got to make it about my teams. Celtics already in rumors about him. The Miami Heat. Like, it's very, very interesting. We're going to see the landscape change significantly. But if I'm Milwaukee, I have a smile on my face no matter what. Because if you look at the rumors of a package that the Miami Heat can offer, or if the Celtics want to offer up Jaylen Brown, if the Thunder want to offer up like 4 picks and Chet Holmgren, I mean, Milwaukee is sitting pretty, playing with house money as they look to determine what's best for their future. And hopefully Chet Holmgren wants what's best for his future because Game 7 wasn't it. It was not even close. Gentlemen, great job as always. All right, when we come back, it's my new favorite segment. It's Out of Bounds. We're going to look at sports stories that are still pretty crazy. You're watching Coach and Company every day. 10 a.m. Eastern here on Stadium and YouTube. All right, gentlemen. Well, I did this one simply because Raphael was on the show, because it is June 1st. And I know that you know how I operate, Brandon, and football never sleeps. And with it being June 1st, there is an opportunity because of how his contract is structured that the Philadelphia Eagles can now open up and look into trade offers and sending AJ Brown away. The long-standing rumor has been he'll be a New England Patriot. So by June 2nd, Brandon, will AJ Brown be a Patriot?
I believe so. And I think this has been a long time coming. They've just been waiting for the date to come up, and it's going to happen. Now, look, has anything in New England happened that might complicate that? I don't know, maybe. But there are some things going on that they've got to figure out. I just think that this happens. I think it's the spot where he's going to go. He's not going to stay in Philly. I think it'd be hilarious if he stayed in Philly, but he's not going to stay in Philly. They've just done too much around the receiver room for him to stay in Philly. I think he's going to be a New England Patriot. I think there's some teams that should jump in there, the Buffalo Bills being one of them, to make sure that that doesn't happen. But I just think that the Patriots have the most to offer, and I think that they're going to be willing to do it.
Raphael, what does AJ Brown being on the New England Patriots do for the reigning AFC champions? I mean, this is an elite number one type of receiver when he's on his game.
Yeah, when he's on his game, he's a really good receiver. Is he going to be on his game, especially if we're going to a New England team that has some issues in the locker room and the head coach that we can go on? But guys, what have I been telling you day after day? This is not going to be announced on Monday. This is not going to be announced on Tuesday and day one of Stanley Cup. They're going to announce AJ Brown going to Buffalo on game one of the NBA Finals so they can steal all the limelight of the NBA Finals.
Hold on, Roger Goodell's on line one. I'm more shocked you said he's going to Buffalo
I
than
like to
New
stir the
England.
pot. I like to stir the pot a little bit.
I no, trust me, I know you do. Listen, I'll say this: the receiver position is not what cost the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl last year. It just the offensive line was bad. The defensive line couldn't get any pressure on Sam Darnold of all people. But we will wait and find out. I would just like to hear that war room trade call and discussion between those two teams. We'll be right back here on Coaching Company. Welcome back. This is Coaching Company. I am filling in for the coach. My name is Mike Pendleton here at the BTT Studio brand. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. Programming update. No Coach and Bro today, but the last word will be live with Big Tommy C and Gabby Laspiza after Monday Night Raw happening in Italy. So a grazie to all of you who will watch the last word later today. But we've got to end the show, guys. My new favorite segment, Out of Bounds. We stay in the sports world, but we find some of the most stories that we have. And look at this here. It is the ending of the UCLA women's softball game. And it's about a minute long, so I'm going to talk over it. First and foremost, Brandon, I'm going to ask you this. How much of the Women's College World Series are you following?
All of it. I think the Women's College World Series is one of the best tournaments out there. Both College World Series are great, but to me personally, I think the Women's College World Series eclipses the Men's College World Series. The competition is much better. It's a lot more fun to watch. Look, there's passion in all college sports, but the passion in college softball is out of this world. And watching what with UCLA, watching all of the drama that happened with Texas Tech, watching all the other stuff that's going on, Jason Williams' daughter getting hit, Jason Williams going on tangents against Florida. Like, it has been absolutely epic to watch, and I'm going to continue doing so until the final out.
Raphael, are you on the same bandwidth as Brandon? And then what's worse, to win on a walk or to lose on a walk-off, or to tie the game and then lose in extras?
Oh, tie and losing extras is worse, but I am 100% agree with Brandon. Women's softball is fun to watch. Watching Oklahoma win championship after championship after championship, watching the home runs. But let's face it, does anyone else have a better helmet than UCLA with that bear on it? I love the UCLA batting helmets. They are the best in college baseball.
And Brandon, I'll ask you that same question I asked Raphael. What is the worst way to lose?
I mean, it's got to be tying it and then losing in extras, right? It's like the ultimate like letdown because you tied it, you're all pumped up, you're like, yeah, we're gonna win this thing, yeah, we've got a chance, and then the extra innings come around and you can't figure it out, and the other team pulls it out anyway. That's I'd rather lose on a walk off.
Yeah, I mean, and I think for cinematic reasons, I think the walk off is a bit better because you have the agony of defeat and you have the thrill of victory, and usually you're getting, as we see here in this video, you're getting some showmanship. The moment that ball leaves the bat. So I love it. Listen, guys, I'm staying with family here in Chicago. They are all tuned in to the Women's College World Series, and I've watched, and it's delivered. Now I haven't watched as much as they have, but these storylines, the fact that we're even talking about them, is phenomenal, and I love it. But I want to go back to another story that caught my attention, guys. I know that certain people and their characters will really grind the gears of every single fan base, no matter what. And that is Shador Sanders. Well, Shador Sanders may have one of the most passionate fan bases of all time. And I don't know if it's the watch, I don't know if it's being Dion's baby boy, or the fact that Cleveland still hasn't found out if he's their QB1. But this man set an NFL record $17.7 million in royalties. Brandon, what?
I mean, not bad for a third string quarterback. Just not bad for a third string quarterback. And that's what Shador is. He's not going to beat out Deshaun Watson for this starting job. He's not the quarterback of the future. The Browns don't have their quarterback of the future on their current roster. They're going with Deshaun Watson for this reason and this reason only. And they could probably do it with Shador too. But they're going with Deshaun Watson because they want a top 3 draft pick next season. That's what the Browns are going after. That's where they will get their quarterback of the future. It's not Shador Sanders, but good for him for making his money while he can. Good for him for getting the endorsements and getting all of the money that he can while he's still in the league. He's just, going to be holding a clipboard while he gets the endorsements.
Raphael, to put this in perspective, Shador made more money in royalties last season than 2025 first round pick Matthew Golden of the Green Bay Packers, his entire rookie contract. Here is a 5th round quarterback who Brandon believes is on the fringe of being a starting quarterback in the league, and he's making more in royalties than a first round pick. Make it make sense.
I did a little research when we talked about this topic, and his last name is Sanders, so that's probably a big deal on why he's getting that. But he has 6 to 7 people that just do his social media, so he has a group of people helping him get this $17.7 million. It's not him. Hats off to the Shador Sanders team that's getting him the $17.7 million.
And then you got to wonder, Brandon, because, we saw his brother have a brief stint in the NFL, and he does a lot of that streaming. We'll always see clips. You think Shador called up his brother and was like, hey, man, I know you couldn't last in the league, but if you want to be part of the social team, if you want to be a part of this brand, there's money to be made.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's good marketing strategy. Whenever you can find ways to make money, make $17.7 million. I couldn't spend $17.7 million in my life. I would love to make $17.7 million. So yeah, look, it's great marketing strategy. Let's get everybody involved. Let's get everybody who knows how to do this to do this. And with our name and with everything that we have going, we can make something happen. And they made it happen.
Raphael, the previous record, Tom Brady, 9.5 million. I mean, Shador just absolutely obliterated. And let's not forget that classic video call between Brady, Dion, and Shador. And he was telling them, get back in school, get on the field, all that. If you're like a legend like Brady and you see this number, is it just more of a time or sign of the times that we're in right now where people just flock to a guy like Shador Sanders?
Probably, but if I'm Tom Brady, you just open up the briefcase of all his Super Bowl rings and you could care less what Sanders has in his wallet.
Well, I'm here for it, honestly, because I'm a Shador Sanders fan. And Brandon, I got to say right here, right now, I don't agree or appreciate with your take on Deshaun Watson, because I think we've already seen the absolute best, if the, whatever it was, from Deshaun Watson. I don't believe this guy can come back and be a top caliber starting quarterback in the NFL. So why wouldn't you let Shador Sanders, a guy with energy, a guy with a little bit of moxie, why not let him do it? Because if unless Deshaun Watson became someone completely different, I'm not in.
Because Deshaun Watson has outplayed him in OTAs. We've had a Browns, somebody who covers the Browns on our show on BetMGM tonight, and she said the exact same thing. Deshaun Watson's going to be the QB1 of the Cleveland Browns. He's outplayed him. He looks like the better quarterback. He looks more polished, and he's actually working in OTAs. When you see Shador Sanders, when you see him on the sidelines, he's not paying attention. He's always goofing around. He's doing stuff differently. He's not taking his reps seriously when he's on the field. So Deshaun Watson, just professionalism-wise, is going to take this job from Shador Sanders.
Well, you know what? I could sit here and argue about it all day long, but it is only June 1st, so we will watch one of the many intriguing quarterback battles throughout OTAs, minicamp, training camp, preseason, all that fun stuff. Raphael, before we get you out of here, do you have a little inside info for us?
Yeah, we haven't lost the inside info since the new brand is coming. So we're going to baseball today. We're going to take the Kansas City Royals, who dropped 16 of their last 19 games. They're playing the Reds. I would look at the Reds at the run line at plus money and maybe sprinkle some Reds first five, because the Royals right now are playing some awful baseball.
All right. Well, that's a big you know what to Coach, who will be back tomorrow. In all seriousness, Raphael, we know you have things that you have to get taken care of. So we wish you all the best here at the brand. Thank you for being such a great teammate and a huge part of what we do every single day. We send you all the best going into tomorrow. Brandon, adequate job today, I guess. You and I will be talking after the show for a lot of the things you said, from the Hammond Indiana Bears to Shador Sanders and everything a little in between. I don't think you and I were simpatico today, and that's okay, because that's what this show is all about. Have a great
I still
day.
love you.
And you know what? Sometimes you just got to get through it. You just got to get through it. And that's what we did here. Guys, great job. And for all of you watching on Stadium and our YouTube channel, appreciate every single one of you every single day. Remember, no Coach and Bro today on the BTT side, but we will have the last word with Big Tommy C and Gabby Laspiza. For everyone here at the brand, producer man behind the scenes making it look like $1 million, and the coach who allowed me to sit in and host this show. Let's have a great week. Let's have a great day. We will see you tomorrow right here on Stadium and YouTube. This is Coaching Company.